Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the DBMCI channel. I am myself Dr. Rajesh Gubba. I am the general medicine educator and a cardiologist. So as a part of the daily discussion on the clinical ECGs, today we are discussing the clinical ECG number 5. And the today's ECG is quite interesting ECG, and I'll just run through a short story of a patient which we have come across and what is the consequences the patient had because of lack of trust in the medical fraternity. So this is one of the alarming problem where the entire medical fraternity is facing the worst consequences from the patients and as well as the patient attenders. And what is the consequence to the patient because of lack of trust in the medical fraternity, right? I'll tell you one of the very important story. So before going ahead with the session, let me just tell you that on 29th of January, I am discussing the entire ECG all the way from basics to the advanced level of the ECG. So this particular session will be conducted on eGurukul app and it is a live session. You will not be getting the recorded version of this particular session. It is just only a live session. The session will be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on 29th of January. After attending this particular session, you will become completely thorough in analyzing the emergency clinical scenarios regarding the cardiology, right? You will be able to understand the concepts behind that particular black lines and small boxes. Having said this, let me discuss the clinical scenario of the patient. So we had 58-year male patient brought to the emergency department at 12 a.m. with chest discomfort, and the duration of the chest discomfort was 15 minutes, and the patient also had profuse sweating, and he was brought by his son. And you take the patient history. Patient is a known diabetic and hypertensive since almost like 10 to 15 years, and he also has the family history of coronary artery disease. The 58-year male patient's father had a past history of the LAD stenting, that is left anterior descending artery stenting. That was the past history. And the blood pressure of the patient was 90 by 60 millimeters of mercury, pulse rate is 72 per minute, systemic examination was normal. So this is a short story, and we have taken an ECG. This was the ECG. And after seeing the ECG more or less looked normal to us, but the chest discomfort was a typical chest discomfort or a typical chest pain of ischemic heart disease. So the same we tried to explain to the patient and as well as the patient attender. The son was a software engineer, and he was little adamant when we were trying to explain him that ECG is more or less normal, but still we require to monitor the patient, for which we need to admit the patient and then monitor. And he has asked us like, why do you want to admit when the ECG is normal? He said like, we said like patient has the risk factors. See, one is diabetic, second is hypertensive, and third important is family history of coronary artery disease. Three risk factors related to ischemic heart disease are there. So that is the reason why we want to admit the patient and do a serial monitoring of the ECGs. And the son did not accept for that. He has asked us to give some time. Right, then after 10 or 15 minutes, he came back and said, we will take off the patient. Then I said like, why do you want to take the patient? Because the clinical scenario doesn't look good. So please don't take the patient. Then he was showing me ECG changes of MI in a Google. So he has just Googled the ECG changes in myocardial infarction. So he, in the 10 or 15 minutes time, he just roughly went through what will be the ECG changes, and he was showing me the ECG changes of MI in the Google images. See, this is how the ECG of the MI patient should be, right? My father is having a normal ECG. So why are you just telling that my father is in problem? So no, we will take off the patient. Then we have advised him at least get the serial ECGs being done, right? Don't admit, at least wait for 1 hour or 2 hours. We will take serial ECGs after 45 minutes and another 45 minutes, and then if they are normal, we will send you. And he was not willing for even that also. He said, no, I will take off my father. If you want to give any medication, you give. But we tried to counsel both the patient and as well as patient attender. Both were very adamant and arrogant to us, and we left the scenario to them because it is their decision. So what we have done is they have denied and they were very much adamant. So the patient was discharged from the casualty against the medical advice by taking the signature from the son. And we have advised to go to a nearby hospital if there is any further emergency in the night. And we have provided our casualty mobile number also to contact immediately in emergency. And see, because it was chest pain of 15 minutes duration, even if you do a cardiac biomarkers, the cardiac biomarkers will be negative. And 2D echo I have done in the casualty. 2D echo was not very much significant. The 2D echo, there was no regional wall motion abnormality and there was a good LV function. But I was little suspicious about this slightly tall T waves, right? Slightly tall. They were not like tall T waves like what we have in MI, but they were slightly tall. So I had little suspicion, for which I have asked to take serial ECGs, but they were not willing. And then morning 6 a.m. we have received the call from the son of the patient saying that, sir, the chest pain has increased a lot, right? At the time of discharge, we have just given a pantoprazole and we have just given an antiemetic. But he said like, there was little comfortness after giving pantoprazole. But again, it was, a question mark whether it was really reduced or he was not willing for admission. He said like that, it is like question mark. But morning 6 a.m. we have received the call from the son of the same patient saying that, so the chest pain is so severe, like it is unbearable. Then immediately what I have advised is to just go to a nearby hospital and get an ECG done, right? And he went to a nearby hospital and got an ECG done, and this was the ECG of the patient at around 6:15 a.m. Right? So can anyone guess what exactly is the abnormality you can make out in this ECG? Right. So this is a very, very alarming ECG for me, right? And this particular ECG, it is suggestive of QRBB. What will be the ECG changes in QRBB? You have a Q wave in lead V1 and you have RBBB pattern in V1, right? RBBB pattern in the sense you have RSR pattern in lead V1 and you have deep and broad S wave in V6. So this is what is your typical right bundle branch block pattern with a Q wave as well. So that is suggestive of the QRBB. So after seeing the ECG, immediately I've asked the patient how he is, right? And the son was telling, sir, he's slightly disoriented and he's complaining of severe chest pain. And I've asked him to go to nearby hospital wherever the cath lab facility is there, or bring the patient to the same hospital where you have shown yesterday. So after showing to us in the middle of the night at 12 a.m., right, they went to a nearby town of their own. And by the time they came to the hospital again, it was almost like 7:30 a.m. Okay, but before that, let me tell you, what is this QRBB represent? What does this QRBB represent? Why is that I am very much worried about this QRBB? I am very much worried because it represents proximal, right? It represents proximal left anterior descending artery block, right? Proximal LAD block. Now, what is this proximal LAD? See, this is your left main coronary artery originating from the ostium of the aorta, and it divides into left circumflex and as well as the left anterior descending artery. And here you have the septal branch, which is supplying to the anterior 2/3 of interventricular septum, and proximal to, right, proximal to the first septal branch is your proximal left anterior descending artery. And this is the coronary angiogram picture of the coronary arteries. And this is the place of the proximal LAD. And if there is a proximal LAD block, how does the coronary angiogram shows? See, this is a more or less normal proximal LAD. And here you can observe if there is a proximal LAD occlusion, that is how the coronary artery, that is how the occlusion will appear in the coronary angiogram. So that is what the patient had. And proximal LAD, I'm telling you, the prognosis is very bad, very, very bad prognosis, because it is from the proximal part of the LAD, the remaining entire LAD is receiving the blood. So when your proximal part of the LAD is blocked, the remaining part of the left anterior descending artery territory completely loses its blood supply and there will be a massive anterior wall MI. And the same patient, by the time he came, it was almost like 7:30 a.m. The patient was not conscious and patient was connected to the cardiac monitor and immediately ECG was taken. And you know what was the ECG? You will be surprised. This was the ECG of the patient when we have taken the ECG. So it was a flat line. There was no pulse. So what we have done? 2D echo we have done. The 2D echo showed the ruptured myocardium. We have tried to revive the patient by following the ACLS protocol, but the patient could not be revived and the patient was declared broad dead. This was the consequence the patient had. So let me tell you, the ECGs in early stages of the myocardial infarction, they may appear normal. So what is that you have to advise? You have to advise the serial ECG monitoring. Now let me tell you what will be the ECG changes in the myocardial infarction. The earliest ECG change in myocardial infarction will be the appearance of tall T wave. Right, I have shown you the ECG of our patient. There was slightly tall T wave that was little suspicious to me. And the second change will be the ST segment elevation. And third important change will be reduce in the amplitude of the R wave. Next, there will be appearance of the Q wave, and subsequently you will have T wave inversion. And in old MI, you will have only Q wave. The entire complexes will be normal. So this will be the ECG changes in myocardial infarction. So if the history is very typical suggestive of ischemic heart disease, you have to be very much suspicious of an underlying coronary artery disease. Now, the same patient, what we would have done if he was there with us in the casualty by listening to us. We would have done serial monitoring of the ECG, and ECG will show the dynamic changes in myocardial infarction. And what is the dynamic changes? These are all your dynamic changes, right? Tall T wave, ST segment elevation, that itself tells you it's a classical MI. So the ECG will show dynamic changes in myocardial infarction, and patient would have been taken immediately to the cath lab, and the proximal LAD, whichever was blocked, would have been opened and patient would have been saved and survived. So what is the take-home message? In early stages of MI, the ECG may appear normal. So what is that you have to advise? You have to advise the serial monitoring of the ECG. That is the take-home message from this session. So thank you very much. I hope I have given you an interesting clinical case scenario. And to remind you once again, I am discussing the entire ECG all the way from basics to the advanced level, wherein you will become completely thorough on the ECG, and that will be on 29th of January on the eGurukul app. And for getting subscribed to this particular session, you can just click on the link which is given in the description. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow again with the next important clinical scenario.